And I've been to like big meets before. I mean, at that point, I've been to, junior Pan Pacs, junior worlds, nationals, all this stuff. But that meet was just completely different. And I feel like I remember something, I was talking with Michael Andrew in Australia last December about it a little bit. And he kind of said that his first trials felt a little weird. I mean, he had a great meet that meet. But then he said at the 2021 Olympic trials, he said he like walked in and he felt like he owned the place. And that's kind of, after he said that, that kind of stuck with me. And that's how I want to feel like pretty much any meet. Like I want to go to a meet and be like, yeah, I've done what I needed to, and I'm ready to go.
Welcome to Social Kick. I'm Brian Lundquist. We got a full crew: Dr. John Mullen, Luke Paddington, and it's George Day. Luca Urlando, Jake Magahey. What's up, boys?
How you doing?
Well, it's Georgia Day for Jake, actually, even though Luca's in Colorado. So why don't we start there? Like, where are you guys? What are you up to? Give us the update on just what's going on right now. Jake, why don't we start with you?
So yeah, I'm in Athens. At me and Luca's house. Swam this morning, 7 and 9. Getting ready for SECs. Had a class today. Just got back, got lunch, and hopped on. So, yeah.
It's a fun Friday as a college swimmer. Understood. Luca, you got a little bit of a different thing going on. Missing your roommate Jake.
Yeah, man, I'm all solo out here, but I don't know. It's been good. Today I hopped on the elliptical to kind of supplement that other swim practice. So each day I'm kicking like around over 5,000 yards, and then depending on the day, I'll either swim a 500 or not, just like kind of relax the shoulder and whatnot. While I'm up here, I'm doing an internship with Pikes Peak Athletics, coaching various groups, doing a little bit of research on the side for the club. But been good, been chilling. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, give us the update on the shoulder. I was on deck when you hurt your shoulder, and that was one of the weirdest moments that I've ever seen on a pool deck, because you're just like, nobody knew really what was going on. You stopped in the middle of a race and it just kind of went quiet. And what was that like from your point of view?
Oh, I mean, I was just kind of like, oh shit, like, is this really happening again? And it was that first initial pull from the breaststroke. I could just like, I mean, I can still hear it in my head. It's just like a big crunching noise as the like shoulder just pops out from the socket. I mean, it was just a flood of emotions, and initially, like, it took a while for like, that pain to set in. But really, I was just kind of thinking about like, oh damn, like, what are these next few months gonna look like for me? And like, what's that process gonna look like? It wasn't very like dwelling in the pain. It was already like immediately looking into the future of how I'm gonna progress from that point.
Well, I want to get into more of that, but first I just want to keep some lighthearted fun here. So, Jake, how many teams will be in the SEC by 2030, do you think?
Oh, how many teams are you just talking about swimming or just like in general?
Well, I mean, yeah, I was just looking at the news of Texas and Oklahoma finally making their move to the SEC and the giant conference networks that are starting here. You got USC and UCLA to the Big Ten. What do we think is going to happen?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm trying to think like what other schools could be added. I guess you got some ACC schools. I was talking to my girlfriend about it last night, actually. How like Texas and Oklahoma are really, I mean, you could say they're Southeast, but they're like, I mean, Texas and Oklahoma are like the middle of the country. So I don't know. I'm just trying to think like, it's going to be interesting how the conferences, in my mind, it's going to be interesting how it plays out, because I think we might get to a point where they just absolve them completely. And then there's just a super conference, because it's really, I mean, it's about the money for them. So it's like, I feel like eventually if it really is about the money, then they might realize that it's not about the SEC as like a whole conference. It's about the teams that are in the SEC. And so they might combine all of them. And so that's what but that would make things very complicated and very, I don't know. So hopefully it's the same amount of teams we have right now, plus Texas and Oklahoma. But I mean, I don't know the answer to that question really.
Texas isn't the South. As a Southerner and a fellow Georgia guy myself, Texas is not the South.
I don't know. I was arguing that they were in the South last night, but yeah, it's Southeast. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. All right, Luca, Nick Fink and Chase Kalish both confirmed for us that once you leave Georgia and train somewhere else, that you never lose your red underwear. So do you have red underwear with you in Colorado?
Yeah, I actually do. That's like the most, that's, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I do have red underwear. Yeah.
All right, Jake, I got to know, I thought this was a real travesty watching the football national championship game that Uga didn't make the trip because he's too old. How is there a mascot that's too old to travel to the national title game?
I don't know. The Bulldogs, I don't know. They got some health issues. You gotta keep them safe. I mean, they'll always they could pull a random Bulldog from they played in Los Angeles, right? They could have pulled a random Bulldog that kind of looks like Uga, put them on the screen, and been like, "This is Uga," and then nobody would know because everybody's just into it. So
yeah, but that Uga would not have red underwear, and everyone would know.
Yeah. No, I would love Uga to go there, but better safe than sorry.
Well, we have to keep the animals healthy. Like we need to keep Luca's shoulder healthy. So as a PT, I've worked with tons of shoulder injuries. I've wrote a book on summer shoulder, and that's mostly regarding shoulder impingement. Now, obviously, a multi-directional instability is a little bit different, as I'm sure you know, Luca. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about your experience in the decision for surgery and kind of how everything's been going from there?
Yeah, I was actually joking about it, with my old coach, that the first time that it initially happened, I should have just gotten surgery then to hopefully prevent any other issues from happening. But I don't know. We kind of just thought the stronger I got, the older I got, and just consistent rehab would be enough. Obviously, it's not, but got this surgery, had a labrum repair. So that's what initially was torn and had been torn for the past few years. So got the sutures in. I have two in the front, one kind of inside the armpit and one in the back. So it's really staying in place now. It'd take someone just I don't know, really yanking it for anything bad to happen. Yeah.
Well, let's hope Jake doesn't just yank on his arm next time he sees you. That's for sure. And I think you mentioned you're mainly kicking now, doing some stroking. What's the plan for stroking? I think obviously a lot of swimmers go through shoulder injuries, and as a PT, this is where I see PTs drop the ball all the time because they don't know anything about swimming really, and it's just oh, well, you had the surgery, you did PT, now go swim. And it's oh, so you're going to go let someone go swim 6,000 or 8,000 or 10,000 now with no kind of progression. So I'd love to know, and I'm sure everyone else would, what's really going on and what the plan is there.
Yeah, so I'm working with Keenan Robinson. He's the man, Keen Dog.
Oh, yeah.
But so we're kind of approaching this in a different way. So each week I'll add maybe another day that I do another 500 swim freestyle. But the main goal in these next few weeks is getting that technique right, which is a little different than just doing 1,000, see how you feel. All right, you feel good. Do a 2,000 the next day. I really want to get that technique down so that as I progress in yardage, I can still maintain that good body connection while I'm swimming and doing higher aerobic sets or whatever that may be. Yeah.
Was there anything when you were young that led you to where you are now with your shoulder? And because you got a father who was national champion in throwing, a grandfather, a grandmother, all of them were national champions and Olympians in throwing things. Did they say, yeah, Luca, you got to go to swimming? And then still it happened? What happened?
No, my mother's side, my mom swam, not collegiately, but her brother swam too. Was a good swimmer in the 80s. So I think I always had that, like, I don't know, swimming gene in the family. And throwers, for the most part, are flexible athletes, at least in the shoulder. Very explosive athletes, but also very flexible. My grandfather and my dad are both, I don't know, very hypermobile in the shoulder. And I think that's what has led them to be very good in their discipline. And it's something that's actually translated in swimming as well.
Guys, I'm curious, after seeing performance within the Georgia athletic department, back-to-back national titles, I mean, what sort of impact does that have on the other programs in, I mean, we were talking about money earlier and money coming in. It's like, I don't know how much that goes down to other sports or the athletic department sees this influx of cash. For sure, it creates more visibility for the program. I mean, like it or not, if there's a recruit who's like wants to be a part of a big school in a fun town like Athens, and then also be a part of other successful sports, like that does help in generating recruiting, especially like in a program that's in a bit of a transition too, with Jack's retirement, and then Neil and Steph coming in. So what has it been like on campus with the impact of the success of the football team? Maybe Jake, you start.
That's a good question. Well, money definitely is a big part of it. Like swimming, of course, does not generate a lot of revenue, at least not as much as we would hope. So it's good to have those successful programs, the ones that do generate millions and millions of dollars, to help us out.
Wait, you said not as much as we hope, or do you think, does Georgia swimming generate revenue?
No.
Okay.
No, everybody gets in the meet for free, which is how we want it to be. And then at the end of the day, but yeah, I mean, the money is huge, but I mean, part of it is a winning culture. I mean, that's something that, I think it's really hard to establish a winning culture. And of course, it's not necessarily going to fully carry over from the football, because I think football definitely has that right now. I mean, they went back to back easily this year too. I wouldn't say easily. The Ohio State game was scary, but for the most part, I mean, we coasted through most of the season, and we look like the best team in the country. And at the end of the year, we were. So I feel like they definitely have that winning culture, and I feel like it trickles down to the rest of us, knowing how successful the football team is. Kind of helps us get that championship mentality. And I feel like in order to fully have it, you need to win. And so, every year we go on SECs, we want to win it. I haven't done that, but that is the goal. And so I feel like the football team does help us with, just looking at us, we're Georgia, we're a big successful school. And, it just helps our culture, I would say.
What do you think it takes to win SECs?
Takes a lot of fast swimmers, a healthy Luca Urlando shoulder. It takes a lot, I would say. I mean, we had a really good shot freshman year. We had a great meet with Florida, a competitive meet, came up short. Last year, of course, we're hoping. I feel like our team was just a little too young to really compete, and then this year we're hoping to go into it. We just always want to be competitive with those guys, give it all we have. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what it takes to win SECs, because we haven't done it yet. But those are a couple of things.
Yeah, I think, like, as awesome as it is to be like such a top heavy team, like, depth is so important and so vital for SECs. Like, it's not really the guys in the A finals that are winning events. It's the guys that, 2 guys in a B final, 3 guys in a C final. Like, those little points, those add up. And ultimately, that is the outcome of the meet more so than not. I think freshman year we had a fantastic shot, but it was also because like we had guys in almost every A final. You know, we had that top end speed, but we didn't necessarily have so much that depth. And in the past few years, I think our younger guys are making Georgia a more complete team with more depth, and they're really starting to develop.
I will say about that freshman year, that meet was mainly us in Florida. Like we scored, I think the 4th most points ever scored at that meet, and we got 2nd. So it's just like we didn't really have a lot of help from the other teams in the SEC that year. And I mean, that's what it takes. And that's what I'm excited about this year's SECs is the SEC has become so competitive. I mean, it always has been, but this year especially, it's like it is going to be very tough to even crack the top 4. So I'm excited. I'm ready for it.
I'd like to hear from both of you then. When Steph Curry goes down, not just Clay steps up and Poole, but the bench steps up as well, and to make up for the Steph Curry going down for a while. From both of your point of view, who are these people who are going to be stepping up for Georgia? Are there people who've like, you know what, I'm gonna step up this year with the absence of Luca? Jake, have you seen that in practice, and what can we expect at SEC's Luca? Yeah.
Let's see. I don't want to put too much pressure on these guys. Do you guys know when this is? Actually, I'll just do it.
Put the pressure.
I mean, my good friend Bradley Dunham. He's a 5th. He redshirted. He's a 5th year this year, and he has another year eligibility. But he's been, I mean, just progressively getting better and better. I think he's going to have a great meet, and I don't think anybody's expecting it. Nice. Really from any other teams. Ian Grum, of course, but he's very consistent swimmer. I look at some of the younger guys. Look at Mitchell Norton. I think he was great last year, but he's really stepped up this year. He's a sophomore. Sam Powell, our freshman this year, I think he's gonna have a great meet. We have a lot of sophomores. Our freshman class last year is like. Since we were combined last year, it was like 35 like new people, something around there. And so that's what I mean by last year we were just really young, and I feel like a lot of them didn't really have the championship experience what it takes. But this year I think it's going to be a game changer. That they've had one meet under the belt and they're ready to go. So yeah.
Well, when Steph Curry is injured, he's often on the bench and he's talking to those younger players and giving that championship experience. Luca, you're going to be at the SECs and NCs, and if so, what's your role there, you think, given your experience?
I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. It was the initial plan, but this internship does kind of interfere with, dates and whatnot. I think the Colorado State meet is that same weekend, and I need to go to that for my internship. But I keep in touch with all the boys on the team. I was there, fortunately, for the first few months of training in the fall, which is arguably, the most important. It's really where you build your base for the rest of the season. And I mean, honestly, I've just been so impressed with these guys this entire year. Their consistency, dedication, it's like a complete 180. Not like last year was bad by any means, but in the terms of mentality going forward, I just think everyone there rips and shreds in practice so hard that it'd be really hard for them to have a bad meet because they have all the preparation. And I've just seen it day in, day out of practice. Like Georgia is a very hard swim team to be a part of. Like we hit those yardage every week. And the fact that you're able to sustain that throughout the entire year, just incredibly impressive. And I'm so excited to watch some of these sophomores and freshmen step up and deserve the hype that they get. I know like the older classmen, for the most part, they've proven themselves. Like Ian had a great summer. Bradley had a great summer. And I expect them to do phenomenal at this meet because I know the type of swimmers that they are. But I'm really excited to also watch these freshmen and sophomores prove themselves in these next championship meets.
I will say, Luca won't talk about it, but like, what was it? I think it was Wednesday. We had a team meeting. I had no idea what it was about. But they pulled us aside into the team room, and then Bradley pulled up a video of Luca, kind of giving the guys like a hype talk, because obviously he can't really talk to the whole team at once. So he just gave a little video. He's saying, so Luca's here. He's supporting. I mean, I don't know, the amount of support Luca gives is honestly amazing. Like I saw it a lot when he was here. He really cares about his team, and so it's just, I don't know. Just want to add that.
Jake, do you think saying things like rips and shreds is the most California thing about Luca?
No, I don't.
What is then?
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, just like I guess the aesthetics he likes. It's definitely very different. Like I'm looking at a painting right now, and I can't use it as my background. But do you know which one I'm talking about, Luca?
Yeah, it's the Salvador Dali one.
Yeah.
All the crazy shit.
Yeah. It's
I love them.
I love Dolly
it's really,
paintings.
yeah. No, it's cool, but like just like I guess the aesthetics and like just like the vibe. So I guess maybe you could say like the words he uses too, but yeah.
I don't know. Georgia people are chill though. Like I feel like the transition has not been that crazy. I mean, we're just like a really cool bunch of dudes, like that all vibe with each other. You know, like we all come from different sides. But like we just mesh really well. And I think that's like the coolest thing about this team by far, is that like no matter where you're coming from, you know, we'll accept you, and not even accept you, we'll bring you in, we'll treat you as family. And that's one of the reasons why I went to Georgia. I just love the team culture so much.
Yeah.
Luca, you talked about the team really stepping up this year, especially, and people putting in the work, except for the slacker Jake, right? What have you seen Jake do that impressed you on deck? Like you were there, like, holy crap! Do you see what Jake just did? Can you recall anything?
Yeah, no, I've seen like just crazy shit ever since I stepped on like the deck at UGA. Like I remember freshman year, Jake did 1,000 in practice and went like under 9 minutes or some shit, and I was just like, dude, this is what we're dealing with now. Like, it's just like every single day, day in, day out. I remember there was a set last year, or they do this set like almost every other week, the 2100s on 130, and Jake will just be holding like 48s the entire time. I'm just like,
I give a 49, but
yeah, no, I don't even know. But dude, when Maddie was there, like y'all would just be going 48s, 47s, just so consistent, so fast. Like it's just really some like every single day Jake just brings it to the water. So consistent, day in, day out, has great speed, but also like has that distance. You know, he's a distance boy, but can still rip a 50 free. You know, like you can't, like it's so hard to find that. And I think that's like the biggest thing that impresses me about Jake. Other than his consistency and resilience. Just like it's just like the best thing being roommates, because like we're both striving to do the same thing. We both want to be the best that we can be. And we don't just talk the talk, we walk it.
Yeah.
And you can see that every single day in practice.
Jake, I'm going to ask you a similar question. Mr. Man over there set the NCAA record in 100 back, kicking out to 15 meters every turn. Like, and somebody said he's the best underwater kicker in the world on our show once to Luca. Now he's doing 5,000 meters kicking every day only. Like, what has Luca impressed you in practice, and what do you expect him to do in like a 50 backstroke kick underwater?
Dude. I remember freshman year he went like a 9.9 from a 25 from a push, and I feel like he could go even faster now. like I feel like if he did that last year right before NCAAs, I think he would have gone. I mean, I couldn't tell you, but he would go real fast. I mean, honestly, I can't recall. I mean, whenever I race against Luca, like I usually just get beat. So it's just like he just brings it. The way he approaches practice is crazy. Like, I mean, you could tell like he comes in there, he's like, I'm gonna go as fast as I can, and he just does it. I remember there was one practice during this summer, and I hope Luca, you remember this too. But we went to Colorado for a training camp, and we just got back. And then we were doing like 50s like freestyle, just like I think it was like pace, but it might have just been all out. And it was Chase kept on like egging me, and like trying to pit us against each other. And like, do you remember that, Luca?
Yeah.
And Luca was just destroying me on everyone. and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I was giving my best effort, but Luca was going crazy the entire time.
What was he doing?
What you say?
On what pace time? What was he doing?
I want to say, I mean, we were just going. He was probably going like 24 highs, long course, and I was going like 25 like mids to highs, and but we were doing like a lot of them in a row. I can't remember exactly what the set was, and I just remember Chase kept on egging us on, and then Luca came up to me after practice, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, I'm sorry about that." like you didn't need to be doing that. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like we're not really like that. We're not super competitive. We also don't I mean, I'm doing a lot of distance stuff. He's doing a lot. Like Luca doesn't really need to be doing the stuff I'm doing. So we don't get the opportunity to train with each other like a lot. But it's just, I mean, whenever Luke is there, like he gives his best effort and he's the fastest one in the pool. And that's what impresses me about it. So.
Jake, the program went through a transition here with Bauerle retiring after I think it was like 44 years. I mean, what an amazing career. But whenever there's such a staple at the top, and new coaches come in, even though they are from Georgia and have a background and were under Jack for a while, there can be some transitions. How has the transition been with the coaching changes throughout the year?
It's been great. Honestly, I mean, Neil's been my coach, been my main coach since I've gotten here. He was a distance coach for last year and the year before that, and I think the year before that. And I mean, so he would give me a lot of focus those years. This year, since he's a head guy, it's been more throughout the whole team. But honestly, I really like that because that gives everybody else the opportunity to see how great of a coach he actually is. He's driven, he's dedicated. One of probably my favorite thing about him is he's always positive. He will phrase things in a way that will never be any sort of negative, even if it's a very negative thing. He'll always find a way to make it positive, and I feel like that's huge because I mean, if you have your head guy, speaking negativity, then I feel like it trickles down to everybody else. And Neil's always just looking forward, staying positive and just putting your head down and working. And I feel like we got off to such a good start this year and just really have kept it the entire year. And so that's what, I mean, I think it's been great. And from what I've heard on the women's side, I mean, it's been an equal experience. I mean, Steph is a very well-qualified coach, and she's been doing a great job with them as well. So,
are you guys training separately completely, or how's that working?
We sometimes we'll be like in the pool at the same time, but like they'll be at the other side doing their own thing. We're doing our own thing. And so, yeah, I mean, that's been kind of like, it's been kind of different because I mean, for the first 2 years, like I would be doing distance sets with, girls. And now this year it's a lot less of that. Or I shouldn't say a lot less. It's none of that really. And I mean, I do kind of miss having that little group because now the distance, there's only 2 guys who do distance. It's me and me and Luca's other roommate, Tommy. And so I do kind of miss that, having like that group, but at the same time, everything else has been great. So
Right on, Luke. You had a question.
Oh
Yeah,
no. Oh wait, sorry.
No, sorry, I meant Luke. Yeah.
No, I was gonna ask for you, both you guys. You talked about training. Who do you guys? You talk about training together. Who do you guys least like to lose to in practice?
Oh shit.
Yeah, you're like,
Dude, like to be honest, like I just hate losing in general. It doesn't matter who. But like when someone's like going slow and then goes really fast at the end, I mean everyone hates that. It's so annoying.
yeah.
And it's not how you're supposed to do the set. I'll just yell and scream like, dude, like you're just being such a little right
Yeah.
now. Like no, it's just
We had a
like
symbol for it. I mean,
yeah, no, exactly. But like no, I think as a whole, we're really good about that. Like I try and always teach the younger guys like, hey, this is how you're trained. If you want to improve consistently, like this is what you need to be doing. Like your heart rate needs to be this like during the entire set. Like I don't want to just see fast and then really slow. Like it needs to be consistent effort because like I mean, no matter what college team you're on, like these guys are so talented and their talent has taken them super far. And not to say that they're not hard workers, but like once you mesh that talent with consistent hard work, like you just get exponentially so much better.
Speaking of the team, let's get to know some of them a little bit better, personalities wise. It sounds like this could have been you, Luca, but is there anybody on the team who is the enforcer, who is the most likely to say the difficult things to call people out and not worry about the consequences or, having to be PC about it?
Bradley.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like this year, we've been going to a lot of meetings that kind of like really help us structure how to say constructive criticism without just isolating or bashing the person that you're trying to help. So this year, like there's been, I mean, like in any team, there's been like some negative things that are said, but it's always like to try and help that person, not necessarily put them down. Going about it obviously is really tricky because like the person that's getting mad at the other person for not doing something correctly, like you have to come across like as a brother and as a friend, which you're already trying to do, but like it's hard to do when there's like, there's somewhat emotions behind it,
Yeah. Well, yeah, when you like lose and then you like call them out, it puts you in a weird spot.
Yeah.
Like you just seem salty. So yeah, but yeah, I would say Bradley too. I mean, he's good at that. I personally don't like doing like in the middle of practice, like calling people out. Like sometimes I'll be like at the wall and I just hear screaming from the other side of the pool. It's like I can't really hear what's being said, but I know somebody's getting in trouble. So yeah, I feel like that's important. I mean, that is important to have that accountability. Something we talk about a lot. It's important, but it's also really hard. Like it's really hard to have 100% like all the time. Like nobody's going to respond well, or I wouldn't say nobody's going to respond well, but like sometimes there's situations where people don't respond well to even something that's like very innocent. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think another good thing that we started doing this year is like, we tell the freshmen, we tell the sophomores, like y'all are leaders on this team too. And you guys see something that, is not correct, we got to hold each other accountable. And at the end of the day, it's a lot better to just get it out and say what you have to say. That's the problem. Than just keep it to yourself, because eventually it's going to build up and one day you will explode and it's just not going to come across the right way, like at all. So I like another things I've been so impressed with by this team this year is like everyone just being so accountable towards each other. Like, one time I was doing like this exercise in weight strong and one of the freshmen, Roman, came up to me and was like, "Oh no, bro, you're supposed to do it this way." Like, okay, I appreciate that. Like, like I appreciate when people tell me like I'm doing something wrong, because like it's good to want to like to know that you can improve on something, you know, to know that like this is how you can get better. So yeah, I like that.
It's not. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I've been called out this year. I mean, not too much. I feel like most of the time I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I mean, with weights and stuff, like, yeah, I get corrected because I'm lanky and uncoordinated. But I got this year. I remember it was right before we left for FSU in the fall. We were doing like hundreds descend. So I think we were doing like 8 100s descend 1 through 4, or descend 1 through 3, or something like that. It was a set like that. And I was feeling pretty terrible. So I was like, this is long course too. So I was like, maybe like 110, like 107, 106, like 57, just like being very lazy on it. And I just hear somebody screaming from the other side of the pool, saying some kind of mean words to me that I won't repeat on the podcast. And I look over and it's Bradley. And after that, I was and I've known Bradley since I was like 12 years old. We swam in club together, so we have a kind of different relationship. And so honestly, that just kind of fired me up, pissed me off. And after that, I started really gunning for it. I was going like 54s on the fast one and like a lot faster on the descent. So it helped. It took a little bit for us to talk again after that, though. I'm sure it was a little dramatic, but that's just, I mean, you know, we're guys, we get over it. So at the end of the day,
did you guys hear? Did you guys hear recently that Belichick was on some podcast talking about what it was like to call out Tom Brady in team meetings and how important that was for Tom's leadership? Because he's like, yeah, nobody's above being called out. Everybody here can improve, even if you're the best ever. So like to establish that culture up front that everybody's got a voice, I think is really indicative to Luca, your comments about like why the team culture and atmosphere was so important to you. That's hugely critical for everybody to be able to give their best and understand that, you know, it's one team. Because at the end of the day, they don't, NCAA doesn't care. They don't hand out trophies based on your seniority. So
yeah,
no, I think that's very important for culture, is to like make sure there's not like, I mean, there's people that can be like well respected, but like nobody's above anything, you know, like I'm a regular dude, just like the guy next to me, no matter what my swimming accomplishments are. And so I feel like having that mentality for everybody on the team is like very important. And I feel like that's what Georgia does really well.
Yeah, it's because like I feel like we have such like, I don't know, just such variety in who goes to University of Georgia. Like in the past years, Georgia has become a much better public university. So we have guys that, you know, are these just crazy double majors that, you know, like still rip in the pool every day, but, you know, they got stuff that's way more important to them personally than the swim team in the future and stuff like that. And it's really like it forces the guys to, you know, mesh well together because like, I don't know, you're here with these other dudes every day. Like, you know, you got to respect each other, and it's just how it is, you know?
All right. Who keeps the mood light? Who's the class clown?
I don't know.
We have almost too many of those.
Yeah, there's so many goofy dudes on the team. Like we have a kid, Wesley, from Hong Kong, and I swear to God, like 85% of what comes out of his mouth is just to make other people laugh. Like it just doesn't make any sense half the time. Our roommate, Tommy Lee, is just
he's
super unintentionally funny too. Like, I don't know, he's just like a little cartoon character with the most like stereotypical French accent that you can get.
I'll say those two. Our buddy Chaz, how she lives 2 houses down. He's pretty funny. I would say, I mean, most of the guys, like anybody has their moments on any given occasion. Like we try to keep it light. Because like, I mean, that's what I learned when I was swimming club is like, this stuff is so hard, and some of it's like very intense. Like you need to like lighten the mood. Like you need to like balance it out with like just joking around and being able to like laugh at stuff. And so I think that's something we do pretty well.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Who's the most? Go ahead, Luca. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was also gonna say, like, at the end of the day, like swimming, like it's not that deep. You know, like sports are there for like fun and
Right.
fun competition. Like this is the only time in our lives that competition like doesn't really mean anything. Like it means something to yourself personally, but it doesn't like matter like, oh, if you do this, like you're not gonna have a job, you know, like it's not like that. It's sport. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be to keep it light. And
Yeah,
stuff
especially
like
the further away you get from your swimming career, you recognize that too. The decisions that seem so important in that moment, or things that are happening, the events they're impactful for your life, but they're still less important than they seem in the moment. Who's the most likely to start $1 billion company?
Oh.
shit.
I
don't know. Dude, there's just so many smart dudes on this team. Like, I don't know. Aaron Seymour, that dude's gonna win places. Like, no matter what he does, like he's like a triple major in like I don't even know, math and some other stuff. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of smart dudes on the team.
Yeah. I would say I feel like Andrew Bruzo could somehow pull it off.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I feel like he could pull it off.
And like Wolf of Wall Street stuff or something.
Yeah.
All right, who's most likely to be late to practice?
Or just not go at all.
Yeah, that's Bradley.
Yeah.
It's kind of
But he's been better about that. He's been a lot
It's funny because Bradley's a really hardworking guy and very dedicated, right for the team. But there'll just be like days where we'll be in the like swimming warm up, and I'll look over towards his lane, and Bradley just won't be there. And I don't know. He has periods where he's better about it than like sometimes he's like really good, and then there'll be like a 2-week period where he'll miss like one practice and like two practices in like 2 weeks. And he'll be like, "Come on, dude." But yeah.
I remember there was this dude in Auburn when I was there who said he came to practice, but the goal was to hide for the entire practice. And so he went up into the stands, and the Georgia pool is pretty similar to Auburn, right? We just have stands on one side. They're not big stands. And he went like halfway down the stands and then all the way down to the bottom below the rail. And then he just laid there the whole practice, just hoping that, and like the whole time that people were on deck and the coaches were like, where is this dude? Nobody knew where he was. He made it the whole practice.
Now, Jake, SECs, NCAAs are coming up. You've had some pretty wild races at NCAAs so far in your career, from Kieran trying to run you down when you held him off to everyone's trying to run you down. I mean, you got Fink doing his normal things in the distance races. What are you hoping to accomplish and have at this year's NCs?
That's a great question. Just be as fast as I can be. Last year was a pretty hard year for me towards the end, just because like I had this very, very minor injury, might have had, looking back on it, but it was lingering, and it just like it got me kind of in a funk with everything. And so approaching, and like I wasn't pulling from like December until like after SECs. I decided I should probably start pulling again. And so I got myself into shape and actually had a really good NCAAs, but I think mentally I wasn't fully there. This year I feel a lot more confident in myself and just like approaching meets and just trying to, I mean, I kind of hate saying it, but just trying to have fun. I'm very serious about my swimming, about what I do, but like at the end of the day, like that's what I tell myself before I swim the mile is I love this sport. I love what I do. I'm trying to have fun, because that's the only way I can really get myself mentally ready for it. But yeah, this year I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything that'll be like a headline or anything, but I'm hoping to do some crazy stuff. Really, I'm hoping this SECs will be a good indicator to see where I'm at. I'm still swimming. I mean, I swam like 5.5 this morning, and I'm going back this afternoon to swim more. So I'm not coming down a whole lot. So, which I like. I like staying in shape for these meets and just like knowing that no matter what's thrown at me, I can just go and just swim fast. So yeah, I'm hoping to be better in my 2 free, hoping to be hoping for a great 5. And yeah, so
Luca, you mentioned obviously you're redshirting or not there this year. You know, we've talked to Grant Schultz, who's legendary on the commentary for being, 30-year-old at his last NCs. And we talked with Grant House, and we were giving him a hard time that he's been around NCs forever. What are your plans for college, especially with, red shirts and the COVID years and things like that?
Dude, yeah, I could be so old by the end of it. I have 3 more years of eligibility, so I could be 24 by the end my last NCs, like theoretically. Like another thing is like, do I want to do that? I'm not sure yet. A lot of times I'm just like, screw it. Like, why not? Like NCAAs is so much fun. Like, I mean, not like long course isn't fun, but it's really like, oh, dude, it's just the best college swimmers in the world in 25 yards, which is like such a fun distance to swim because you can just like bounce. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really decided yet. Definitely want to come back. I don't know. Actually, I'm not going to say anything. But like, yeah, no, I can foresee swimming in college for another few years.
Dang.
Yeah.
Hey, just doing some prep for this conversation with you guys and going through your bios is crazy. I mean, just considering all the accomplishments you both have had with national championships and national titles in the long course pool. And yet you've both been on the receiving end of some tough moments too. I mean, even last year at NCAAs, Luca, you're in 2 tight butterfly races that didn't go your way. You came out with the NCAA record that killed everybody on the 100 back, and you're like, oh, I could have won that title. And so I guess what I want to know is, even back to Olympic trials, a 3rd place there and Jake coming 9th there. You both have had these successes and then also races that you can really learn from. And I'm curious what those learnings are for you guys as you continue forward and still have big races and opportunities in front of you, both short course and long course. Luca, what are some of the things that you've taken away from both the good and the bad in your swimming career?
Biggest takeaway is probably just the mindset, like knowing that you are one of the best, no matter what happens, no matter what place you get, is knowing yourself that, you've put in the work, you've done all this stuff, you are a champion. And just being able to come back after that, even after bad swims or that type of stuff, like having that mentality, no matter what, is huge, because the moment that you start to doubt yourself is the moment that like the work that you put in doesn't really matter anymore. And you should always validate yourself and validate how much you put yourself through to even get to those like not so good moments.
What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this question. I mean, for me, mainly it's just been like, I'm not going to be defined by one bad swim or one bad meet. I mean, you talk about trials. I mean, that was a pretty rough meet for me. Like, probably the hardest, like, mentally meet or most mentally defeating meet I've been at. But of course, I had to come out of that and kind of reassess myself and where I was at with the sport. And I would agree with what Luca said about like the mindset and mentality of it. I mean, like going into that meet, I feel like I walked in and it was kind of like, it was very foreign to me. And I've been to like big meets before. I mean, at that point, I've been to, Junior Pan Pacs, Junior Worlds, Nationals, all this stuff. But that meet was just completely different. And I feel like I didn't really I remember something. I was talking with Michael Andrew in Australia last December about it a little bit, and he kind of said that his first trials felt a little weird. I mean, he had a great meet that meet, but then he said at the 2021 Olympic trials, he said he like walked in and he felt like he owned the place, and that's kind of after he said that, that kind of stuck with me, and that's how I want to feel like pretty much any meet. Like I want to go to a meet and be like, yeah, I've done what I needed to, and I'm ready to go. But yeah, I feel like that meet, I kind of lost myself. There's a couple other things going on too. I feel like I wasn't really having a lot of fun with swimming at that point. And I didn't realize that because I was so focused in on trials and making the team that I wasn't really realizing that like I wasn't enjoying myself. And so that's what I meant when I kind of had to reassess where I was. And so yeah, I feel like being aware of where you're at like mentally with the sport, because it is like I mean, especially for me when I'm like staring at the black line for 2 hours every day, 4 hours every day, and just like not really doing much, and then I get into those funks, like I got to be aware of those so I can do what I need to get out of it. And so that was the biggest takeaway from me from like that meet. And I feel like ever since then I've been pretty good about it. So yeah.
Awesome. Got a few rapid fire questions and we'll let you guys go. Jake, what's the hardest race in swimming?
Mile. Short course, long course. I guess I'll just go with mile, short course meters or short course yards.
Luca, what's the hardest race?
Tuner back long course. That shit sucks.
Luca, Olympic gold or world record?
Gold.
Jake?
Gold.
Jake, do you pee in the pool?
Isn't that a safe sport violation? Am I allowed to say that?
We'll find out.
I don't get out of the water. I'll say that.
Luca?
It depends on how dehydrated I am.
All right, I want to know, can Neil give a speech pregame like Kirby Smart did at the national title game?
Oh.
He's not like an angry or like not that Kirby's angry, but he doesn't have like that fire like Kirby does. He's just like, I don't even know. He's just great vibes, you know. Like
he sets you on the right direction, I feel like. But yeah, he actually talked about that speech with us like after it happened, and he was like, yeah, if I said that stuff, I would get fired. So like, yeah, I would probably say no to that. But he's great in different ways. So,
Jake, what's one set that you won't miss when you retire from swimming?
Definitely like the 32 100s, like 500 pace, and yeah, no, won't miss that.
That sounds awful. Luca, what's the worst swimming injury you can think of besides shoulder stuff?
Groin stuff sounds terrible. Yeah, I don't know. Or like a hip flexor injury. Actually, no, back is just like, that's terrible. There's a lot. Yeah.
All right, Jake, what's your prediction for the score of the Super Bowl?
See, I've been going. I don't know who's going to win in the first place. I'll go right now though.
Do you know who's playing?
Yes, Kansas City, Philadelphia. See, I don't really like either teams. I like Jalen Hurts. I'll go with Philly, 20 or 30-24.
Luca, who you got? What's the score?
I don't know. I kind of want Mahomes to win.
No.
I don't know. Jalen Hurts, he just like screwed over like a few Georgia teams. I don't know though. Like, but now he's like a cool player to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want Kansas City to win. I'll say like 33-30. I don't know.
As an Auburn guy, I don't like Jalen Hurts either. Okay, Luca, what time wins the 100 back at NCAAs this year, and does anyone scare 43-3?
Gee, I don't want to talk no shit, but I think people will crack 44. That's what I'm gonna say.
All right, last one is: do you guys ever get to do social kick? Besides, well, Luca,
Little-
you're
little
doing it
bit,
all the
little
time.
bit.
Yeah, it's not so fun, but I mean, yeah, we'll do it occasionally.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
usually that's only like if I get like a special practice. I get a special kick. You'll never writes that.
Noted. Well, hopefully at taper time you'll get it, and Luca, excited that your ridiculous kick is going to get that much better with all this kicking. So, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. It's been fun to chat, and appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Of course, thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for this episode of Social Kick. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're enjoying Social Kick, tell your friends about it. And be sure to tell us what you liked by leaving a comment and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Social Kick. And you can find all of our content on our website,